Hey, welcome to House Church. And guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I think I must have got the short straw because this week we're talking about God and money. Now, hold your excitement. I know this is the series you have all been waiting for and just dying for us to talk about. But here's the problem with that. I want you to know this. This blew my mind. Jesus spent 15% of his time teaching on the relationship between God and money. And the obvious conclusion is this: how you view money says a lot about how you view God. And so there's a great passage in Luke 12 is where we're going to be today. And it's kind of a long passage, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'd love for you to read it as a house church because there's a lot of powerful things in here. But the subtitle starts with this, and we could probably stop here: do not worry. Right? Not easy to do. It says, then Jesus said to his disciples, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat, or about your body, what you will wear. Life is more than food, and the body more than clothes. That's a good reminder for me. Food's important to me. Consider the ravens. They do not sow or reap, yet they have no storeroom or barn, yet God feeds them. And how much more valuable are you than birds? Who of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to his life? Now, what's happening in this passage is Jesus has just finished talking to a really affluent crowd, and then he turns and he talks to his disciples who aren't so affluent. And he's making the connection. It doesn't matter how much money you have, worry sometimes, or money can be at the first of your life. It can be the thing you focus on the most. And so Jesus, in this moment, is pulling this group together no matter how much money they have, and he's pulling them back to creation. And he says, I want you to go back, read the whole passage. He begins to talk about the lilies and the flowers. He talks about the grass. And he makes these incredible comparisons saying, I want you to remember something. I'm the God of abundance. I'm the God of creation. I'll tell you how I see that. An analogy we made on Sunday was when you think about tailgating, and I don't know if you've ever been to a tailgate where there's a host that has the gift of hospitality. Many of you in House Church, you're at someone's home right now who has that gift. They're the people that you can show up with 5 people or 20 people and they're ready for you, right? Like you can bring as many as you want to the tailgate because you know the host. And the host is so gifted at meeting needs. The host is a host of abundance. It's like all of a sudden there's a Strix cake right there. All of a sudden there's Little Dewey's barbecue right there. They bless you out of a heart of abundance. And that's what Jesus is saying in this passage is he's taking them back. He said, I want you to lift your eyes off of whatever you're worried about and begin to see I am of God of abundance. Now, here's the problem. Me and you have the same problem that Adam and Eve had. We're fighting the same thing. It's the enemy. He begins to creep in. We looked in the passage on Sunday in Genesis 3, and it's the fall of man. It's where the enemy comes. He's more crafty than anyone else. And he begins to introduce lies like, is he really the God of abundance? Should you really not eat of that tree? Is he really going to provide for everything you need? You see the tension? See, on one hand in Luke, you have Jesus taking them back to the reality that, hey, I'm a God of abundance. I have everything you need. I'm going to bless you. Just trust me. Lift your eyes from whatever it is that it's on and begin to see me. I'm the host. Then you have Genesis 3 where you have the enemy coming in and he begins to create these fears and he begins to plant these lies and you have this heart of scarcity. Is there really going to be enough? Listen, I battle that when it comes to money. And I've got my illustration here because I want you to think back to your first experience with money. Are you a saver? Are you a spender? Are you a giver? Some of you, it's just natural to you. Do you feel guilty sometimes maybe because of the money you have? I have a whole $7. But whatever your first interaction with money sometimes comes out. For me, I can be a saver. And what will happen is my need to save can get in the way of God's desire to use what he's given me to bless other people. So here's what I want to do. I want to begin to paint a picture to you of the correct view of God and money. And I want to do that by taking you back to the New Testament church. You remember when we talked about the book of Acts and they began to say, man, there was something about the believers. They were attractive. And they were attractive because they began to share what they had with people who were in need. They began to sell what they had to meet needs of other people. They were the ones that started the first orphanages and the first hospitals. Man, they were gracious. They held on to what they had loosely. Listen, here's three ways. I like to be practical. I just can't help it. I have to kind of give you a few things to hold on to. Three things that I see happen when you have the correct view of God and money. The first one is this: you can rejoice with those who rejoice. Man, I love that. Man, I love being able to celebrate with people. But sometimes I can't celebrate with other people because I think they got my job, or hey, they got the date I wanted, or hey, they got the opportunity I was looking for. And that comes from a heart of scarcity. That doesn't come from the fact that I have an abundant creator who created everything and knows my needs. And he told me in Luke 12, if I'll seek him first, he'll meet those needs. If we have the right view of God and money, we can rejoice with those who rejoice. It says that in Romans. Second thing I see is we've had the right view of money, we invest in what lasts. Listen, I'm learning. This is kind of a painful thing to learn because I feel like I've saved some things and I've bought some things. I got a 2013 car and then I sold it. And I got a 2018 car, but now it's just old. I thought I stepped up my game. I got rid of my iPhone 8 and I got an iPhone 11. Now I need a 14. Hey, what I'm telling you is, man, your things, your possessions, they end up one or two places: garage sale or dump. And that's painful, but it's true. That's why Luke 12:33 says, sell your possessions, give to the poor, provide purses for yourself that will not wear out, a treasure in heaven that will never fail, where no thief comes, where no moth will destroy. He's saying build up treasures in heaven where they'll last. Third thing, if you have the right view of God and money, you become an intentional kingdom giver. Now, here's what I love about this. Is, man, when you begin to realize all that God's given you, you can't help but let it begin to flow out of you because you see the difference. There's the Old Testament principle of giving, okay? Old Testament was we gave to be blessed. You know the verse, I believe it's Malachi, that talks about test me and see, right? God's promises, if you'll give, I'll bless. New Testament, it's a whole new theology of giving. It's I have given. I gave you my son. He stepped out of heaven to come down for you. He died on the cross for you. That is my gift to you. Now, because I have given you this, you give in response of what I've already given you. You see the difference? We gave to be blessed, Old Testament. New Testament, we have been blessed. We've been given Jesus. Now we can't help but give in response. Story I used on Sunday was I began to talk about when I first met my wife, Katie. Man, we were at Mississippi State, and I began to pursue her. I began to date, man, and we went to the nicest restaurant. We went to Anthony's over in West Point, right? You're really living it up when you go there. We went to the movies, and I just rolled out the red carpet. I did everything I could do, and I remember her beginning to respond to me. And man, I was on my toes. I mean, I was just ready. I was eager to see how was this going to work, and it began to work. Like I was doing so that maybe she would bless me. Now, 25 years later, we've known each other 25 years. It's totally different, right? I'm doing now because of all she's done. She's given me a family. She's given me my children. She's given me a home. She has modeled to me what it looks like to love God and love others, right? She's been kind to me. She's walked me through 6 different jobs, 8 different cities. She's been patient, and she has loved me unconditionally. So now when we go on a date, I'm no longer pursuing her to try to get her. I'm pursuing her because of all she's given to me. You see the difference? Here's what it looks like in our faith, right? In Ephesians, he begins to talk about all that Christ has done for us. He says, listen, for it is by grace you have been saved through faith. And this was not of yourself. It is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast. He's saying, listen, the biggest gift you have is Jesus. Look at what you've been given. You have an inheritance that you're going to be with me forever. I've covered your sin. I've given you everything you need. You are rich in Jesus. Because we're rich in Jesus, that's why we give. Listen, read these passages together as a group and then begin to talk about what it looks like to have the right view of God and money. Enjoy tonight.